Okay, so today is part 3 of our Yoga for Runners series, and I wanted to focus today on strength. So there's just different aspects, of course, to running, and one aspect is strength. If you have a good foundation of strength, running is easier and prevents injury, because if our muscle is strong, it's less apt to be strained somehow. So today's exercises are specifically to strengthen the muscles they tend to get neglected in a regular workout situation. So these are not, let's see, are any of them, there's one or two that are traditional yoga poses, but everything else is mostly conditioning, things I've picked up along the way. So let's get started. This one can be challenging, but actually before we get started, I wanted to mention one thing. Using a timer, and I have a 2-minute timer for almost every exercise. Now, for some of us, especially if it's a new exercise to you, the 2 minutes might be too much. So in that case, pause or slow down and then start back up or resume the cadence whenever you can. Okay, so the timer there isn't like grin and bear it for the 2 minutes. It's work your way up to it. So the idea is, you don't just do the sequence once and then you're good to go. You're strong now for running, right? We need to do it multiple times in order for it to really work and benefit our running. So let's get started with something nice and easy. So we'll sit down in Dandasana staff pose, which is just the feet are forward. I'm going to go on a bit of a kitty corner angle here so that you can really see my toes. So this first exercise is strength for the bottoms of the feet. So now my feet are flat on the floor, my toes are spread, and then I'm just sort of leaning back on my hands, doesn't matter where your hands are. And then what we're doing is pulling the toes in towards the heels. So I just call this toe scrunches. And then spread the toes, release, and place them back on the floor. Once again, pull them in, scrunching them. And then flare the toes out and lower. I'm going to start our timer. That is it. That's the whole exercise. It's a really simple exercise and it's easy for the first bit. So here we go. Keep going at your own pace. So we scrunch and then flare the toes and place them back down on the floor and just keep going. So we just go scrunch and scrunch and scrunch. And if that's too fast for you, slow it down a bit. But you want to feel the muscles starting to work. And at first, you might be like, I don't feel anything. Some people find they cramp a little bit, so don't go too much power. And the reason is because if you don't have a lot of strength in the bottoms of your feet and you try to scrunch really hard using a lot of power that we don't have, that's when cramps can happen. Keep going. I'm going to move my timer where I can see it over here more. And we just keep going with our little toe scrunches. So having muscles on the bottoms of the feet, why would that be helpful with running? I think mostly it's kind of obvious. The feet are the foundation of our body. That's where we connect to the ground when we're running. And more importantly, though, it keeps your foundation foundational. What does that mean? Well, we've heard of things like arches of the feet, and we've heard of things like fallen arches. If your arches are well supported, that is a good thing. And if we don't have good musculature in the bottoms of the feet, we get what's called fallen arches. And that's what some people call flat feet, or maybe they're not completely flat, but they are flatter. And some people, their arches fall completely down, and that is simply a lack of support in the arch. And I think a lot of people think it's genetic or nothing I can do, it's a medical condition, but it's really not. If you remove all the tissue and you look at a skeleton, all those bones are completely separate. So the reason why we have an arch is because of the soft tissue. So we strengthen that, it supports the arch, and then our running works better. We can actually be more efficient and run faster when we have a good foundation. Keep going. Almost done. And relax. Okay. So hopefully you felt a small fire under your feet. If not, don't worry about it. So let's just do a little shakeout. I feel a small fire beneath my feet. Used to have fairly strong arches. Not so much these days. So I am excited to work on this sequence and get those arches nice and lifted once again. Okay, so the next one, we move up only slightly to the ankles. We do ankle circles. So let's head in an outward direction. So both toes go out to the sides and then down, point the toes, and then sickling the feet, moving them inward. And up and out, down and around. Keep going. So 2-minute timer. And for this, it actually can help our range of motion as well in the ankles, even though it's not a stretch. And this is the same thing. This helps support the foot. This is the foundation of our running. So it's not the very, very foundation, but it's very close. So when we have strong ankles, that of course supports everything. And we work from the ground up. The human body is legit like a building, right? If you have a crack in your foundation, the whole support of the entire building is now in jeopardy. And the same goes for our body. If your feet are not in good alignment, it works its way up. So often, if your arches fall, I don't know if I can do this explanation without a diagram, then often your knees will torque inward and then the hips will torque outward. So it just sort of goes like this all the way up the body and into the low back. So having good alignment of the feet is really important for running, especially since it's an impact sport. So it's hard on the joints to begin with. I think in a good way. I do think we're born to run. So I don't think that just because it's a high impact activity we should avoid it. I think it's a good activity as long as we're safe. If you're not feeling a small fire in the ankles by now, I don't know, maybe make bigger circles. We still have some time to go. So I'm really feeling it. And I'm especially feeling it in my left ankle because I'm right-handed. So my right side is just a little bit stronger. So I'm actually feeling this more in the left side. And you might find that as well, or you might be feeling it evenly. Doesn't matter. Keep going. If you need to take a little break, take a little break. We're almost done though, last 10 seconds or so. Hard to know exactly. It's a salt timer or sand or something. Almost done for real. And relax. So I like to do a little bit of a shakeout. The next exercise is exactly the same, but it's the other direction. So I don't want to call this procrastinating, but take a couple extra seconds to wiggle out the ankles. Let them rest between sets here. Slightly different set, but very similar. All right, we should get going. Here we go. Other direction. So toes go out to the sides, but now they go up. In, I can feel it already, and around. I'll start our timer. So you can lean back onto the hands if you want to. My wrists need a little break now, so I'm just going to sort of sit forward and do my little ankle circles. Keep going. You could, if you wanted to multitask a bit, instead of only focusing on the ankles, point the toes when you get to the bottom, and that helps with the bottoms of the feet strength as well. Or if you're like, I don't know what you're talking about, I'm just circling my ankles, that's okay too. So again, these are little activities that we don't normally do when we think of yoga or think of a workout situation. We go to the gym. But you'll notice, so I feel it in my ankles, but I also feel it all the way up to just below my knee because there's all these muscles here that are working, and that supports everything up to the knee. So as you can see, it doesn't really matter what the upper body's doing. Just focusing on the ankles and perhaps the bottoms of the feet as well. I feel like my circles are getting a little smaller. That's okay. Almost done. For 3, 2, 1, and relax. Do a little shake out. Little break between exercises. All right, I suppose that's enough. I could just sit here for a while. So the next one is for the calves. Okay, so I'll be standing up. We might have to cut off the top of my head for the camera. If so, it's okay, you only need to see my lower half. Anyways, so I like to go up towards a wall. And so I can balance. Because for the calves, just standing with the feet parallel, I like to have them just slightly apart. Just so you can see. Slightly apart for balance, but I've also got my hand on the wall here. But we want them parallel. Toes spread nice and wide. We lift up onto the tiptoes and then lower back down. I'm going to go grab my timer, though I forgot my timer. I'm starting it right now, so you can keep going. Where we stand up, so going up as high as available and lowering back down, and keep going up and down. And it's one of those exercises where it feels like nothing until it does. May as well scoop the belly in while we're doing this, trying not to sickle the feet. And what that means is, because of the shape of the foot, we tend to, if we're putting equal weight on each toe, we tip out towards the pinky toe, so we don't want to do that. We want to actually have most of the weight on the insides of the feet so that it's more the big toe and maybe the second toe, maybe the third toe. So I'm feeling this in my calves, but I'm also feeling it in my ankles, partly because we just worked the ankles, partly because they're involved as well. Try to be sure that you've got equal weight on each foot though, because if you do have one side dominant, sometimes it tries to take over. Don't let it. You can see my timer all the way down there. We're over half done. So again, if you need some rest a little bit, take a second and then hop back in when you can. Maybe taking a peek down at the feet, make sure you're not sickling. And that just means you want your entire arch of your foot to track forward, not to tip outward. I'm actually feeling it in the hamstrings as well, like up in the upper legs, which is good. Almost done. Last one. And relax. Okay, so take a second, because the next one is my favorite, but it's a doozy. And it's crescent lunges. So you might want to do this one against a wall as well. I'm going to not do it against a wall, but I will have my arms out to the sides in a T position to help with the balance. So what we do is we hike up the pants. Important step one. Right foot is forward, parallel. Left leg is back, also parallel. I'm going to move my blocks so you can see what my feet are doing. Okay. And so arms out to the sides is an easier place to balance. You'll notice my back heel is up. So in my crescent lunge, my knee is directly over the ankle. This is my starting position. I'm feeling a bit of a stretch in the hip flexor, and then I straighten and bend. Straighten and bend. and keep going. So there's a few really important things in this exercise. One is that we want to be using the glutes. The glutes don't like working very much, so we need to really target them. And how we do that is press into the heel of the front foot. That's not to say that that's the proper technique for this exercise, but it sure works to fire up the glute. So I want my right glute to be working. And then when I straighten the leg, think of pushing down into the floor, and that works the hamstrings, the back of the leg. So I want more specifically the glute, but also the back of the leg. Now, we want the quadriceps to work as well, of course, but they tend to do all of the work, and we don't want that. You might also start to feel the back ankle. That's normal. It's working hard. So just going at your own pace, we bend, we straighten, we bend, we straighten. If you want to get a little more technical, you could synchronize the breathing, so slow it down a bit. On the inhales, we straighten. On the exhales, we bend through the nose. So all yogic breathing is through the nose. Lasts like 5 seconds or so. And relax. I'm going to relax on like hands and knees. I could relax standing up, but I actually want to, I feel lazy when I do this, but I'm actually doing this strategically. I want all the weight off of my feet between sides because it is a bit of a doozy, and I will be able to get maybe an extra lunge or two out of this exercise if I rest on hands and knees. I want to take a good several moments between sides. I'm just sort of alternating side to side here. I'm rocking from one head to the other. It's a good wrist warmer-upper. I'm just doing that because it's kind of habit. Just resting. Something to do is probably why I'm doing that. Okay, that should be good. I can still feel both ankles though, I think from 2 exercises ago. So that's not going to go away soon. May as well just get her done. Here we go. So now left foot is forward. Right leg is back. I'll start our timer. This one is a bit tippy, so it's nice to have something to hold on to. But if not, arms in a T position. We bend, we straighten. So same. Woo! It's tippy, did I mention that part? Trying to target the glute. Press into the heel if you're not feeling the glute working. Eventually, you don't have to worry about pressing into the heel. You can have your weight evenly distributed on that front foot. But just while we're trying to activate the glute, pressing into the heel is a huge help. And keep going. My arms are getting tired for being in airplane mode. We're getting there. Every time I check my timer, I lose my balance. Last little bit. And relax. I'm going to go to my hands and knees position again. You could do child's pose actually. I find this one is, let's see. Yeah, I don't know. I prefer hands and knees, but definitely child's pose is an option. Some kind of fetal position to recover. And just a few deep breaths. So getting the muscles lots of oxygen after our exercise and before the next one. We've only got 3 exercises left for the whole class, but they're all just as fun. So here we go. For the next one, we'll be standing up and finding a wall again. So somewhere with balance. Okay. So from here, we lift up the right knee. And we lower it slightly. We lift it up and up and up. Keep going. That's the whole exercise. This arm you can put in a T position or just sort of get rid of it. This one I find to be a doozy. If you need little breaks, try to keep going, but you can put the foot all the way down. Or do a few of them, put the foot down. And if you can keep doing just the knee, great job. I find that if I work on this exercise a lot, I can do it eventually for the full 2 minutes, but it takes me a good couple weeks of working on this. We're in the home stretch now. Last couple seconds. And relax. Wouldn't you know, there's another side. Here we go. And up and up. So same thing. I'll turn kitty corner. Same thing. Try to get the knee up and up. And if it's ever too much, you can lower it all the way down and back up again. Remember to breathe. And all of these exercises too, I don't do them all at once usually. I am for the purposes of this class today. But as you can kind of see, like I'm getting tired already. One exercise will fatigue you for the next one, etc., which is fine. But you'll notice if you do these sort of a la carte, if you just take 2 minutes out of your day to do one exercise, or I guess it's 4 minutes because you're doing each side, you won't feel as fatigued as if you do them all at once. Last little bit. When I said slow it down, I guess I meant really slow. Go, go, gadget left leg. Come on. So this exercise is for the hip flexors if you haven't noticed. This will help kind of keep the knees up when you're running. Helps with cadence to keep the feet moving a little bit quicker. Last couple seconds. And relax. Oh, that's also one of my favorites. It's kind of a love-hate relationship. I don't feel like I'm very good at it, but I love that it's, I don't know, I feel like it's so beneficial. Some exercises I'm not good at, I don't like them at all, but that one I really like. Okay. The next one, we're not doing a 2-minute because there's just no way. It is, well, we'll see if we can do both directions here. Let's see how this goes. So this one I just call fire hydrant because it's, you'll see. So, but it's a little bit different than I think a typical fire hydrant. There's the, lift one knee up to the side and back. That's a great one, but this one is even better. So what we do is we bring, let's start with left leg. So we bring it forward a bit and then to the side and then back and then down. So you're doing circles and keep going. We'll change directions after we do both sides. So this is sort of an outward circle. And for this one, I find 1 minute is a doozy. Maybe eventually 2 minutes would be okay, but this is one I don't even attempt a 2-minute. So we're over halfway, last 20 seconds or so, 2/3 of the way done. Last 10 seconds. 5. And relax. So again, I'm just on my kind of hands and knees. You can do a child's pose. If your wrists need a break, you could do like a half and half. I find that if I go all the way back in child's pose, it doesn't relax the hips as much. But I mean, play with it. Do what feels best for you during your rest. And then we have the other side. So here we go. Up on hands and knees. Right leg goes up, back, down, and around. And keep going. So with this type of class, I often will do it all in one day, but I'll actually literally do it in 5-minute increments. Like I'll do each exercise just at some point during my day. I might do like a couple, like I might do both the toe scrunches and the ankle circles in one go, maybe before I start my work day, something like that. But yeah, just a few minutes at a time. Last 10 seconds. And relax. Okay. So I said we might do the other direction. I'm going to go ahead and recommend that we take a break from this one first, and we'll do the next one, which is not any easier, but it's a slightly different muscle group. So we'll give the hips a second to relax. So for this one, we lay all the way back. And this is an actual yoga pose, but it's slightly different. So what we do is we prepare for bridge pose by lying on our back, palms along the sides, facing down, feet are parallel, and just slightly wider than hips width apart. Legs are parallel as well. We'll go ahead and lift the hips as high as they'll go and hold. Breathing through the nose. And for an additional challenge, see if you can, without actually moving the body, feel like you're drawing the heels towards the shoulders. So don't actually move the feet on your mat, but the body might move slightly as you feel like you're drawing the heels in towards your shoulders. And breathing deep. Keep the hips lifted. And then lower the hips. We hold for 10 seconds only. And then we repeat. And begin. So we lift the hips up. We hold. We'll do this 5 times. So these are 1-minute segments where we have the hips up for 50 seconds and then we rest for 10. And this is, of course, for the hamstrings, if you can't already tell, and for the glutes as well, so the whole back body. This is the part that we tend to injure as runners. We tend to get hamstrings tendinopathy or little strains, little pulls, and this can significantly help prevent that. Keep going. Legs are parallel, hips are lifted, breathing through the nose. And release for a whopping 10 seconds. It's amazing how much slower the 10 seconds is than the, oh, here we go, hips up, then the 50 seconds. My whole lower body is feeling a bit like Jell-O. Jell-O that's on fire. So if that's you too, good job. You're doing a great job. That's how we know. Trying to find stillness, I often will wiggle around in this one, especially this one. I'm trying really hard to hold it steady. Last couple seconds. And release. Okay, I think that was 3. That was 3, right? Pretty sure that was 3. Here we go, number 4. Lift the hips up. And hold. Remember, for that extra challenge, draw the heels in towards the shoulders. Usually at this point, I'm like, I don't even know what's happening. I'm lifting the hips as best as I can, and I'm just trying to survive. And that's okay too. If everything isn't shaking right now, though, try to lift the hips a little bit higher. We want shaking. Shaking is weakness leaving the body, so that's good. We want a little bit of shaking. And release. Ready for our last one very soon here. So exciting. Okay, here we go. Hips go up. Last one. Remember to breathe. The muscles need oxygen. Almost done. Last 10 seconds. And 5. And release. Well, you did it. Oh, I still promised you that last hip one, didn't I? Let's do it. I honestly don't know how this is going to work out for Carla, but let's get up. You know what? I'm going to come out the nice way. Like, and up. I feel like a dead bug. Let's roll over to the right side. Pause for a second. That's how you're supposed to get up in yoga, from the floor. And then press yourself up, nice and slow. Ready for that last one. So remembering we're on hands and knees and we go in a forward or inside rotation for that fire hydrant circle exercise. Notice I don't have a proper name for any of these. So I'm going to start with my left leg because that's what I started with last time. Here we go. So leg goes out, forward, down, and around. Remember, you can take breaks, which I fully intend to. And it's okay. The idea is to get better, right? Like, don't feel guilty about taking rest, because when you need to take rest, you know there's more work that you can do. Like, I love it when my yoga practice is a bit of a train wreck, because then I can see how much I can improve. And it's like almost like an annoyingly glass half full kind of a perspective, but I really do. I really like that there's so much room for my body to grow. Last 10 seconds. See, almost done already. It definitely helps taking a little break between muscle groups. And relax. But I will take that 20 seconds or 30 seconds between sides. Little organic movements. I like a little shift from side to side. Relax the neck maybe. And then we're preparing for the last minute of this whole class. Okay? Here we go. In a couple seconds, begin. So right leg goes out, forward, down, and around. And keep going. My leg is shaking. And again, that is good news. That means you're getting so much stronger. Weakness is leaving. No room for that here. And last 15 seconds. 10. 5. And relax. We did it. That is the entire class today. So those are all of my, in my humble opinion, the most important exercises, that especially those ones, because we tend to neglect them. They're not common exercises. They're all the muscle groups that will help your running. It'll help your stamina. It'll help decrease injury, all the things, and it'll even help your speed. So thank you so much for joining me. I hope you have a really, really good rest of your day, and I'll see you next time. Namaste.